Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Shouse Life. On today's episode, Trav Does Dumb Things, we are going to revisit this old girl. Now, if you've been keeping up with my channel and watching videos, you know about this old girl here. This is a 2013 Mustang GT convertible, 126,000 miles. We picked this thing up. It was hit hard in the right front corner. Sole reason behind buying this car was for the drivetrain. And by now, you already know where this drivetrain went. You're watching this video about 7 months after I pulled this engine out. And there's a reason for that, but we'll get into that later. Anyways, back to this mess. So yes, I bought this car distinctly for the drivetrain. I had no intentions of fixing it. The interior is pretty much trashed. It's been sitting at the auction for 2 months with no top on it. It's already been salvaged twice. So in my opinion, this is a parts car. Now that I got the motor out of it, the question is, what am I going to do with the rest of it? Welcome to Louisville, Kentucky. Beautiful day. 10 degrees colder than it is back in Wisconsin on the 4th of December. We are heading to the Copart auction to pick up another Mustang. So the plan is, I got one that's destroyed in the front, and I have one that's destroyed in the back. And we're going to take those two and make something. I don't know yet. That car is sitting outside right now. It's December 13th. It is 7 degrees outside, and I'm not going out there. The rear end is broke bad. I mean, the tube for the rear end where it goes into the center section is physically broken, cracked in half from the rear diff from this wheel going backwards so far. I'm assuming if there's that much damage, chances are where the rear end bolts into the chassis, that's going to have some damage also. So my next step, only thing I can think of, is to cut this car in half, take the back half of this one, cut the other one in half, take the back half of that one, throw that one away, put this back half on the front of that other car. In the industry, it's what we call a roof rear clip. And honestly, I'd be a lot more comfortable if this was a full roof car. I have never done a rear clip on a convertible. I do not know exactly how I'm going to do it, and I'm not even saying that that's what's going to happen. I'm saying that's what we're going to start with. So today's process is to get this thing gutted. I want the seats out of it, I want the carpet out of it, I want the doors off it, I want the rockers off it. I've already got the fuel tank out. The wiring I don't care about. I do need to get into the wiring because now that I cut all the wiring out of the front of the car and took the engine out of it, I can't open the trunk because it's power. So to catch up quick with what's going on here, basically a few years ago, my dad came up to us at the local Cars and Coffee that we host, and he said he wanted us boys to build him a Mustang for his 80th birthday. He's always wanted one, and he's never had one as long as I've been around anyway. So, you know, we just kind of laughed it off at that point, but I always kind of kept in the back of my mind that it'd be a cool project to do. And as we got a little closer and closer to his 80th birthday here, I started asking questions as far as, you know, what do you want in this Mustang? What are you envisioning? And he sends me a picture of this here, a 1970 Twister Mustang, one of 98 made. I believe the last one sold at auction for like $200,000, which I basically said that ain't happening. You know, how about a nice convertible? So that's where we're at here today. All right, we are back after dinner, and this is where we're at. So the interior's out, the carpet's out, all the junk's out of the way. Our plan is, long-term plan anyways, is to separate the seam through this area here from the front floor to the rear floor basically. And from there I'm thinking we're probably going to come across, separate the floor from the rocker in this section, and try to get up to this section of the rocker where it's basically straight. I'm trying to stay out of this curved area right here. But for now, as time is an issue, so it sounds like this isn't going to be Dad's first Mustang. He sounds like he owned one back in the day, well before my time anyways, but would have been back in the 70s, and evidently he had to sell that car because, well, the trunk was too small for a cooler of beer to fit in it. But that's the story that I always told anyway, so hopefully the cooler will fit in this one. So what I'm thinking is if we can maybe get a jack on each side of the rocker and let the front end down, pretty much. Let's try this. Take that off of there. So basically this is what I was trying to see, Cam, was what is in here. I want to see how the inner rocker is constructed so I know how I'm going to weld it back together. So basically we're going to cut a section out of here from like here to here, take this outer off, and then we'll go in, line this up so we can weld inside here, then weld inside of there, and then put the outer rocker back over it, cover it up. There is some inner structure in here, so I'm going to have to figure that out. But what we might have to do is basically take a section out of here and another section out of this so we can get into this, go inside, weld that, put this one back in, weld that, and put this back on, weld that. And we'll probably throw some extra support in there just to make sure she's good and strong. But other than that, yeah, it's pretty much what I expected to find when I was in there, so I don't think it's going to be too bad. It's Saturday afternoon. It's pretty much spent the morning to clean this mess up from this thing. We got the front half outside, but it is raining or snowing or sleeting or raining all day today. We're gonna get this thing tucked in the corner. I'll show you the front half in a minute. So here's our donor car. She's all covered in ice, suffering. Here's our front half. Basically just put it on the forks of the tractor, wrapped a strap around the windshield pillars there, picked it up for the most part. It is all ice out here, and it's just gonna hang out there for a couple days until it dries up around here. And then next we're gonna dig this girl out, get her in here and get her defrosting. So we pushed this in last night with the tractor and put it up on jack stands so we kind of get a once over on it and see how bad this one is. So let me show you what I've learned so far, I guess. So obviously we are in really deep into the structure here. The window doesn't roll down all the way, top doesn't go down all the way. Okay, so this is this side. This quarter here might be repairable, but let's not even worry about that yet. We have obvious damage in the rear structure here. Moving underneath the car. So this car does not drive. It does start, it does go into gear, I suppose you could say, but it doesn't move under its own power. It made a lot of noise from the underside. The wrench light is on. We have issues. Now sitting on the ground, I can see that the drive shaft at the rear diff is not spinning, even though it's in drive. So transmission broke, drive shaft broke, right? We're not sure. We do know that this rear end went back really far when it got hit. It went back so far that it actually broke the center section of the rear end. This tube went back so far it actually cracked and broke it. So now that we're underneath the car, the drive shaft is a two-piece drive shaft and it is apart in the center. So the drive shaft is in fact junk, which at the end of the day is not a big deal because I have a complete parts car and the drive shaft is actually sitting right over there on the floor. So easy enough. That should solve that issue. Before I go any further with cutting this one in half, I'm going to spend some time and I'm going to basically just blow this quarter panel off and see what's going on with the inner structure and how bad it is. I'm just not ready to make a decision yet. So we're going to do a little more research and then we'll bring you back, get a look at the inner structure and see how bad this one actually is. Well, I'm going to say that it's not that great. This thing is hammered way in there. It's got a lot of bent up stuff. So it's into the way inner structure, into the roof, as far as like the brackets and stuff for the mounting of the convertible. I don't think digging into this is a good idea. I think I'm just going to make things worse. So we're going to go back to plan A. We're going to cut this bastard in half. We're going to weld that clip on, fix a couple things, and just repaint the entire car and it's just the way it's going to be. And we'll just kind of go from there. So I'll catch up with you in about 10 seconds, okay? So it's been a fairly productive day, I suppose we could say. We got all the interior out, obviously. Everything's off from underneath. Fuel tank, brake lines, fuel lines are ready to come out. Exhaust is off, drive shaft is out, rear end is completely disconnected. All the wiring from the trunk of the car is now up here. Basically anything tying the front half to the back half is no longer. So we're going to set up a reference here. You can see how I kind of already started here, and you know, we're just winging this. There's no rules to this. Every car is different. Every clip's going to be different unless you do the same car twice. So what we're going to start with here is basically, this is my reference line, something that I can use. So it's got this rib that comes down, basically using the point of that as my reference. That way I got the same marks on both sides and on both clips. From there, I'm going to take some 2-inch tape and I'm going to transfer basically 6 inches over. And I want to take this outer section off, and this is going to be our piece that we're going to reuse. So I'll get that ready to go and kind of show you what we're doing. So by using 2-inch tape, I mean basically you're transferring everything together. There might be other ways to do it. This is the way I'm going to do it, okay? So it is what it is. We're going to set that on that line, and we're going to follow the line. We're not going to follow the curve of the car. We're going to follow the line. So from there, we'll just lay out our reference mark then. Very well. So now that we have our marks, we're going to drill out any spot welds that are in this area here. Basically, I want to remove this section. So we got 3 up here and looks like 2 down here. So 1/8 inch drill bit through the center. Just bent my brand new bit. I think feels like it bent. Yeah, it did. We got pretty much a brand new tip on the rotor broach. It's only got a couple spot welds under it, so should get us through this project anyway. Now we're going to take the old bone saw here, and we're going to follow our lines, and it's going to be noisy. I'm going to lay a 3/4 up from that cut basically. So now we have the inner outer rocker section cut out of the way. And again, you can see we're 3/4 of an inch away from original cut. So now we can transfer all those measurements to our next car, the next cut that we're going to make. What this does is allow us to get into this last little piece of center right here. Now this is the inner rocker, which we can totally access from inside of here. But this section here we cannot. And this isn't very strong. It's just some tin basically, but again, I want to put everything back together as best that I can. So what I'm going to do now is basically split this down the center, or roughly the center. I'll pick a spot, split it. And what that's going to allow us to do then is once we transfer all these measurements to the clip, when we pull this all back together, all these sections should line back up. And then what we're going to do is weld the center back together, and then we'll fix this stuff here. You know, any cuts that we made, we'll weld all that back together, weld this together, and then we'll clean that up, treat it, prime it, and then we'll take the next layer and we'll put this back in, and go through, weld this back in, weld all the spot welds up here, spot welds down here, and then again, clean that all up, prime it, and then we'll take our original outer and put that back on. And when we're done, we should have a nice strong repair. It should be good to go. We're also going to add a technique to the inside. I'm not sure exactly how we're going to do it yet, but once I start making those cuts, it'll make more sense to all of us, hopefully. That's as far as I can go with this cut sitting here on jack stand. So I'm going to get the other side matched and in the same position basically as this, ready to go. And then I'm going to start working on the spot welds where we're going to separate the floorboards at. And then we're going to cut this bracket here, drill out these spot welds, separate the rear floor from the front floor because it's overlapped right here. And then from there, that's literally all I can do. We'll have to get it up on the frame machine so we can get some support underneath of it, because we go much further and the car's going to literally bend in half. So now, don't get me wrong. I mean, the old man had plenty of opportunities over the years to bring home a Mustang from the dealership. I mean, in the late 70s, he could have had the 79 pace car or the 80 Cobra, but instead he brought home the 79 Pontiac Grand Prix. I mean, don't get me wrong, it was a cool car. It had T-tops and all that good stuff, but you know, the best part of that car is watching Dad do neutral drops in it out in front of the house at night. That was some good times there. And then again, in the would have been the late 80s, early 90s, he could have had the last year for the Fox body 93 GT. He brought home the Chevy Cavalier Z24. And again, it was a fun car. It was a good car for the most part. I mean, spun a few rod bearings in her day and had to replace the motor, but you know, it is what it is. And then again, in the 2000s, you know, he could have picked up a 2000 Saline or something like that. But oh my God, the minivan era. Don't even get me started on the minivan era. I don't know how many of those he went through. And then finally, and it would have been probably around 2015, he finally went to a Ford. And that's the Ford Edge that they're driving today. They're still driving. It's a 13 Ford Edge. It was a builder that we did anyways back in the day. But you know, at that time, if he would have bought a Mustang in 2013, 2014, he would be driving this car that we're building today, because this is a 2013 GT. So either way, I guess he's getting that 13 GT. Well, as you can see, we're all up here. We're ready to go. It's on the frame machine. It's just locked down. Front half is locked down. Obviously, the rear half is going to come off. So I got a jack under each side. We got the chain hoist hooked to the back bumper, basically. If everything goes well, it's going to hold it from flipping one way or the other while we chop this thing in half. Other than that, on the inside, if I don't trip and fall and smash my face off the frame machine, I think we're ready for our final incisions here. We're going to make this cut down through this section here, which is pretty simple. I have a hole cut through the floor here. I'm going to bring the Sawzall blade up through there, and I'm going to cut the underside of the rocker down to the pinch weld. And then from there, I'll come up here. We're going to cut up this point, and then we're going to cut across to this line, and then this will be our final cut here from here to here, because I don't really want to be under the car when I finally get this thing cut in half. From there, we're going to have to fight the back half off of it, because the fuel lines are still kind of wrapped up and around the rear axle. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get them out without pulling the axle out of the car, but I'm willing to try first. So we're going to do that. We're going to get underneath, make some cuts, get this thing chopped in half, and move onward, I guess. And actually everything went really well. I did get my handed to me there for a minute, actually for about 20 minutes, because I could not get this thing apart. I mean, I couldn't figure out where it wasn't cut somewhere, and I couldn't figure out where it wasn't cut. And if you remember, I said I was going to cut the inner rocker on each side, and then I had to cut this support right here in the center. Yeah, I forgot that one. Starting to get a little flustered there for a second, and then I realized I didn't cut that section there. So once we got that cut, thing popped right apart. Obviously, there's a lot to handle with one guy, but it is what it is. Anyways, let me show you what we got. So now that we have the back half out of the way and we can see, you know, what I've been trying to explain this entire time is by using this seat frame right here, you can see how it's spot welded onto the inner rocker. So now that is basically our guide for the next cut. We're going to make the cut on the clip the exact same spot on the edge of that bracket, and technically that should put the car back exactly where it was. Obviously we'll do some adjusting and kicking and shoving and measuring and fitting and doors and all that good stuff, but before we actually burn the whole thing together. But now you can kind of see all our layers of rocker that we need to deal with. There is another layer right here that I did not see from inside. I thought that was one piece, but I see now that it's not. So basically I'm going to go through and take an 1/8 inch off the outer layer on both sides, which will leave a 1/4 inch gap, which will leave me access to this section here. So what I'll do is burn that all in and then fill the 1/4 inch gap, burn that all in, and basically these two pieces will now be one piece, which will be stronger at the end of the day. So we need to do that. You can see now also where we have our different sections now. So instead of just cutting the rocker straight all the way through, because you can't go in and weld all this stuff, if I cut it straight through you don't have access to it. So now we can weld the inner rocker up in a Z pattern up through here. Obviously we'll fix what we just talked about. So that's going to put all the strength back in there, and then we'll put this piece back in here, this inner piece, which isn't much. It's just a weld here and a weld here basically. And then from there I'll open this up a little bit so I can weld that inside piece first and then the outside piece, and then we'll put our inner rocker back in and fill the gap. And once all that's done, obviously each layer will get treated, cleaned up and primed, so, and then undercoated, so it's basically sealed from the weather. And then when we're done, we'll put the outer rocker back in, a little mud, a little sanding, a little primer, a little paint. Should be like brand new. You can see the floor, how the floor is separated. Just this is where the factory seam was on the floor. Basically just overlaps about a good almost 2 inches there. So we have to we'll clean all this up, hit it with weld through primer, and then when we put the next section on, basically just burn all these spot welds back in. We'll weld this bracket back together on the next car, and then from there it's pretty straightforward. Just put it back together. And then the fuel lines, they did not come out very easily. They wrap up and around the axle, and they're pretty strong, and they didn't really want to give. I was able to get it apart, but trying to fish those back through the new clip while I slide it together, I don't think that's going to happen. So what I'm going to do is leave the fuel lines under the car, put the new clip up, get everything done, welded, everything finished the way I want it, and then I'm basically just probably going to use the machine, and I'll lift the rear of the car up. 3 bolts and 2 shock bolts. I can drop the axle off from underneath that car. So we'll lift it up, take the axle out, put all the fuel lines, brake lines, fuel tank, probably the exhaust, everything back underneath of it, slide the rear end underneath of it, put it back down, throw the drive shaft in it, start it up, go do some burnouts. So the next step is to get the clip out of the corner over there, and I gotta go through and clean that up. I got hours of work to do on that section over there, and a lot to clean up on this section. So I'm not gonna waste your time with that. I'll get the clip ready to go. I'll get it up on the machine, get it set up, and next time you see it, we'll be going back together. So see you in a minute, I guess. Just after 12 on Sunday. It's cold and crappy out, nothing really going on. So I'm gonna try to get this thing put back together for the most part. I got all the clips, or all my cuts made on the clip, cleaned everything up. I got the weld through primer on the floor pan where the 2 pieces are gonna overlap. A little bit on the inside. So basically, somehow or another, I'm gonna put this back together. I don't know. This could be interesting, but a little bit at a time. just sucks because I have no idea what I'm doing. I can't see what I'm doing. Picking it up from the back, I can't see what's going on in the front. I need to figure out a better way to do this. I know what I need. I need a ratchet strap from the machine down to the back to lift it up. Kind of hold it level. I can't use my overhead crane yet because it won't come back far enough. So the chain fall is going to basically drag over top of the trunk lid, which I obviously don't want to do, so I'm going to have to improvise. That's what you do when it's just you. I could go get the wife. She's in there doing house stuff, so I could go get her, but I like the challenge. Something like that. Let me know when I'm close. One more. We're closer, so as I bring that closer, we're gonna have to let that down. This is gonna be a riot. If I can get closer, then I can use the chain fall. Right? Okay, so we're gonna have to block it because it keeps rolling back. So we'll go forward, block the wheels. Okay, I got like 6 inches to go. And it's got to come over this way, about 1.5 inches. Okay, we're far enough forward now we can get the chain fall on the back because I need to pick this whole clip straight up to get to the level of the front clip that's attached to the frame machine. So yeah, I think that's gonna work just fine. Nah, it's a little gappy yet. We should probably go a little tighter. It's a little far, right? Might have a little wind noise through that one. It's looking fairly close. A little gappy here, obviously. Move this stuff. But the inside is, nice and tight for the most part. Other side, so on the inner rocker down here, we're nice and tight like I want to be. This is our reference point. This is where we cut both cars the exact same spot. So this is my reference point. But you can see the gap here. I mean, I got a good 1/4 inch there yet. 1/4 inch down here. So basically I need to decide which gap is lying. One's tight and one's big. They should both be tight. So something's wrong, right? So I need to decide if I need to open up the inner gap or fill the bigger gap. And the only thing that's going to tell the truth in this situation is the door. When we close the door, you can see our gap. It's pretty wide. I can get a whole fingertip in there. That's way too wide for me. So I need to close this up at least 1/8 of an inch, which tells me that we need to go into the inner where it's touching now. I'm going to take my cutoff wheel in there. We're going to open that gap up a little more, slide this together a little tighter. That'll close this gap up and should close our door gap up. And then we'll see what we get from there. And kicking and shoving and pushing and cutting and all that good stuff. I like my gap here. Everything's looking great. Door is open and closing good. Little tweaking yet. But over here on the other side, probably want to know what the hell this mess is, don't you? This is next week's project. Pretty cool, huh? Anyways, That's a different video. You'll already have seen that video by the time you see this video, so not a big deal. Anyways, this side over here, I cannot get right because as soon as I fix this side, see my gaps or my bylines are off. I had to take striker out. But basically, when I jack up this quarter panel on this side, everything lines up great. But then I go back to the other side, and the other side's all jacked up. So then I fix this side, and it looks great. Then I go back to the other side, and it's all jacked up. I can't get them both to stay in the same position at the same time. So what we're going to do is we're going to fire the old Lincoln up here and basically burn some tacks on this side, the passenger side, get that side set where I want it and stationary, and then go over and jack up the driver's side, twist it. I'm going to fix it. I'm going to weld the son of a bitch together, and then I won't be able to move anymore. So. Well, unfortunately, we have ran out of argon. We had an issue. So, remember how I was saying that every time I set the right side up, then I go to the left side and the left side's wrong? So I tacked the right side together, how I wanted it, went over, set the left side, came back, checked the right side, went back over, welded the left side, and I burned it in pretty hard. Frickin' closed the door, ½ inch off. Quarter panel was a ½ inch lower than the door. And I, for the life of me, couldn't figure out why. So I ended up having to cut it all back apart again. It took about a half hour before I finally figured out what was happening. I had that gap at probably about an 1/8 inch. Went into the house, got my old Dubuque Cars and Coffee cup, filled it up with water, walked back across the garage, back out here, and the gap was now a 1/4 inch. That frickin' jack is bleeding off. In about 3 minutes, it bleeds off. Just enough to open that gap back up. So when I started welding that side together, that frickin' jack dropped as I welded, threw everything off. So it's fixed. Cut it back apart, jacked it back up, kicked it around, hit it with a hammer a couple times, of course, and it's where I wanted it. I burned it in real hard this time. Obviously with the scissors jack underneath there, now it's holding that position. So I'm gonna leave everything set up the way it is. I'm gonna go get a fresh tank argon in the morning, and then we're gonna start burning this thing together. We'll see you in the morning. Yeah, we got a fresh tank argon, and we've been out here for probably about 3 or 4 hours on and off throughout the day, getting these sections put back in. So I just want to give you a quick update of where we're at. I'm not going to do a lot of recording on the welding because it's pretty pointless, but so we have all the inner structure welded back together, burn in really hard on the on the inside of the car. Plus I was able to get majority of it from up in the rocker and lay a bead through here and up through there, blah blah blah. We got this little center support put back in. I don't know if it really does anything, but it was in there or whatever. So we went underneath the car, did the lower section of the rocker from underneath. So the next step is to put in the inner rocker, if that makes sense, which is this section here. So basically we're just gonna start burning that in. I got both sides ready to go. We got weld through primer on all our areas here that we're going to burn this into. So this hole right here will still be open from underneath. So I can go up in there with my, I got a tip on a tank that goes and sprays like 360-degree circle, just splatters grease everywhere. So anyways, I'm just gonna get back to welding. I'll let you know when we're done with this section and move down to the next one, okay? Well, it's the next day again. It's actually it's Christmas Eve, so Merry Christmas to everybody. We are back on the shop here for a little while. I got nothing going on at this particular time. Last I left off, we got the inner structure put all back in again, primed, undercoated that. Both sides are done. I did this side last night, and then I attempted to cut my thumb off with the cutoff wheel last night. So that was pretty much it for yesterday. I ended up spending some quality time with my couch the rest of the night. But the throbbing is done. It's good enough. So today we are going to finish up. We got the other side finished, so both inners are done. And now we're going to put our final outer rocker cover on. And so we have the original. This is what I originally cut off of the car. And you can see how close we are. We're pretty much right back to where we started. We'll smooth that in, get her done. Next is a couple coats of epoxy on that. We'll let it sit, body work, blah, blah, blah. But before that, we need to get the floor put together. That's pretty much the last thing to do. Button that up. Some primer, some seam sealer, all that good stuff. But anyways, it's another day. Tomorrow's Christmas. I doubt I'll be out here, but you never do know. And, well, it's Thursday, day after Christmas. And I will say that I made it till probably about noon yesterday, Christmas Day, before I was bored out of my mind. So back out in the shop we went. Basically, I spent yesterday working on the floor section, getting that all welded back together, ground it down, a couple coats of primer. The next step is to get this thing running again. Now, you can see I got the rear end out. You can see that fuel line right here coming up. It's supposed to go up and over the axle, and it goes all the way back here. The evap system is back here under the spare tire, so there's lines going back and forth. The brake lines go across the floor pan. Emergency brake cables got to get routed, so I figured it's probably just as simple just to drop the rear end out. With this way here, I can get the tailpipes put back in, the fuel tank, all that stuff put back in without the rear end in my way. So I think it's going to be faster at the end of the day. I just don't know how I'm going to get the rear axle back underneath the car by myself, but we'll see how it goes. All right, well, we got all the fuel lines back in. For the most part, I'm missing something. There's supposed to be a line coming from the tank on this side, but I don't know where it goes. So I have to, oh, it's right here. Never mind. It's on this side now. Stay there. Whoa. Oh, girl. Okay, that wasn't bad. What bolt goes in that top link? I should have paid attention to that. Wait. That's in there. Whew, that sucked. Here we go. Okay, let's go set the other side. Set this down. Put this in. Jack it up. Okay, moving right along. The drive shaft is in and tight. I got all the bolts in. That's all tight. All the suspension is tight. The only thing left are, for the underside anyways, is these, I don't know what these bars are. These tie into the rocker. That bolts up to the floor by the fuel tank. And then those two bolts there go on the spare tire. Weird, but whatever. It must be a convertible thing, so. Okay, that should complete the underside of the car anyways. Brakes. Wrap up the brakes, and then we'll throw the wiring in it, get everything plugged in, and see if it runs, and see if it moves. We had a wrench light, which I'm assuming was the fact that the output shaft of the transmission was spinning, but it wasn't seeing the ABS spinning. So I'm assuming that's why I threw the wrench light on. We'll throw the scanner on it, get to that point, we'll just clear everything out, and then see what comes back. Brakes are in, wiring's all back in for the most part. We are going to cycle the key a couple times and see if we have any fuel leaks or anything I need to know about. If you see any fuel spraying out, will you let me know? I mean, I'm assuming the fuel pump's running. Can't hear it. Let's put it in park. Let's see if it starts. Oh, that should be fine. A little rattle. Well, let's figure out what that is. Ah, it sounds good. Okay, roof. How's that work? This one? I think it's good. Hey! Ooh. Got some air conditioning going on, but I can't shut it off because I don't have a control. This top is garbage. It has been patched and shredded and shredded and shredded and patched and patched and patched. Oh my god. And it's definitely shrunk. I mean, this thing is super tight and still not getting down in the front yet, so I guess I need to figure out how to get that other top off that other car. I got it all unbolted. I just can't get it out. I don't know what the trick is yet, but I cannot lift it by myself. It is super heavy and super awkward, so I have to get a gang of people over here. Get the boys out here. and try to do that. So anyways, starts and runs, should drive. So next is body work, but not tomorrow. It's going to get pushed over here in the prep station. Today's Sunday. I got to get back to work on things that make me money, which is tomorrow, Monday. So this thing's got to come off the machine. So we're done. Next video we'll do body work, paint work. I don't know what color it's going to be at. Bright red? Dull red? Not red at all? No, we'll find out at the end. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you on the next one.